welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I've been creating some of these cute little characters over the last several days, probably about a week and a half ago, I guess. But this little elf is a die that I've had forever, and I know last Christmas I didn't create him, and I've kind of told myself that this Christmas I want to create some of my die cuts, even though they may take a little bit more time. I mean, we all love to make these little characters, but let's be, honest with ourselves. They're a lot of work. I mean, look at all these different papers I needed to cut out, all the different elements that go into making these little characters. But ultimately, they're very cute. But we just sometimes decide that it's just too much work. Well, this year I decided to go ahead and make some of these ahead of time. And the dye that I'm using is from Tonic, and like I said, I've had it for a while. I don't even know if it's available anymore. I'll look for it. But I went ahead and I created a couple of these little elves, and the paper that I used was out of the new Tim Holtz paper stack that came out for Christmas, and I liked it because it had a red and a green paper that kind of looked similar, so my elves could be similar but not the same. Now, after I created these little elves, I decided I wanted to go ahead and continue my creations, and I pulled out this die set. But as you can see, this die set only has the faces, but I had the idea to use the elf body and add it to the faces, and this is the little Santa that I came up with, and I think he looks pretty cute. I started working on the snowman, and the snowman, in my opinion, would have looked kind of strange having feet. So I went ahead and I just created him, adding a second body. So this is the face. I just attached them. And then I used some of the elements. And I have another little snowman around here somewhere where I actually used the scarf. So I made a couple of snowmen. And I think this probably would work for the penguin, probably. I don't know if I would give him feet so much, but probably not for the deer, but definitely for the Santa. I thought that it came out really cute. So that's really what I wanted to work on today, is I wanted to do something with these little characters. Now, there's a couple ways that you could use these. Of course, you can add them to cards, but I thought I would go ahead and create some tags. Now, I didn't want to create necessarily a tag that you're going to throw away, so what I ended up doing is I ended up using some chipboard to create some heavyweight tags to put my little characters on. Now, I created these, I made several of them, and I created these using some old mat board, and these are the mat boards that you would use to frame your pictures, and I found a whole stack of these at a thrift store a few years ago, and I really haven't done anything with them. I knew I wanted them, but I didn't do anything with them. So this year I went ahead and I started cutting them out to create oversized tags so I can use them in some of my designs. So this is what I kind of came up with. Let's put our little characters aside here. I went ahead and I covered it. Now when I covered it, I covered the side that had the printing, and then this is the back side. So that way the back side is still really nice, but then you have a nice design on the front. And the paper stack that I'm using, like I said, is the new Tim Holtz one, and this is the set that I'm using. And this is what I used for the little outfits. I think that one right there. And then I used, I want to say this one for the other outfit. But I wanted to go ahead and use this also for my paper stack, because there's some really pretty papers in here that I think would be great for not only cards, but for oversized tags. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to incorporate some of these book boards or baseboards that came out this year as well. And if you watch the Tim Holtz releases, you saw that he kind of talked about how he left these inside pieces to be able to craft on. And these are very cute. These can make really cute little tags as well. So make sure you don't throw away your pieces, because you can use those to make, smaller tags. So I thought those would be really cute as well. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create from one of these. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet. But I want to be able to use one of these frames to create a little scene. And then I'm also going to use some of my Idea-ology as well to decorate up, along with some more die cuts. I have this really pretty tree here that I die cut. And the paper that I used for this was one of my digital kits called Green Grunge. It's perfect for trees, so I'll make sure that I link it up for you below. But I really like it because it has different textures and different colors. So it's not just green. It has textures, it has print, and there's a lot that you can do. You'll always have a really nice tree if you're using a die cut. And then I also used the same paper to cut out some holly that we'll be hopefully incorporating as well. And then finally, I did pick up some of these milk caps, and these are Christmas ones, and I love Christmas ones. I try to collect them when I find them. I have a few here that are authentic vintage, but I don't like to use my authentic vintage in my crafting, but I like to use them to reproduce. So I have 3 of them here that they look pretty good. Of course, you know, the authentic vintage look a little more vintage because, well, they're authentic. But I like to keep these here when I'm crafting just to get ideas. So I have those. And then finally, I have these little poinsettias that I've been creating as well. And I have these in this this little bowl here that's magnetic, so I don't lose my dies. And I've just been creating some little poinsettias. So that's kind of what I have on my craft desk. So it's a little bit of a mess. I'm not showing you my entire desk because it is a little bit messy here, but that's basically what we're going to be creating today. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump right in. All right, so I am going to go ahead and use this green one here. And then for this one, I don't think I'm going to actually put a frame. I'm just going to use probably a little character. We'll see how that one goes in just a minute. But I am going to go ahead and add one of my trees. And then I want to also add some presents to go into the tree. So I'm just kind of figuring out where this is going to go here. And I'm going to use some of my Mod Podge or some of my collage medium to glue down my tree. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this Mod Podge that I have to adhere my tree. I kind of want to get an idea. I think I'm going to put, like I said, some presents underneath. So I kind of want my tree to be off center just a little bit. And for these, you don't need a lot. I like to kind of get this going a bit with some of my Mod Podge. And when you have these really intricate dies, sometimes it can be hard to use a glue stick. But what I like about the Mod Podge is it will dry clear. So I can easily just kind of get it tacky, make sure it's going to stick, and then layer over it. So even if I don't get everything adhered perfectly, I know I'm going to be layering over it, so I'm not overly concerned about getting every little piece tacked down. Just enough where it's not going to move on me. And sometimes you're going to have to get your fingers dirty working with the Mod Podge. But that's just part of it. Alright. So once I kind of get that tackiness going, like you can see, I can just add some of that glue underneath to make sure it's going to stick. And then we'll give that a second to dry. Okay, so I went ahead and I let this dry, and then while it was drying, I also added the tree on this little tag as well, so that way we could clean our brush. When you're working with Mod Podge, you don't want to let your brush sit because it will get hard and it will ruin your brush. So a lot of times when I am working with Mod Podge or collage medium, I'll use everything that I need to using that product, and then I'll clean up my supplies. And that gives me a few minutes for the drying time as well. So now that my tree is pretty much dry, I want to go ahead and add my presents. Now, one thing that I like to do when I'm making items is just add a little extra. You know, I put these presents together off screen, but I want to go ahead and just add a little bit of distress ink. And a lot of times what I'll use for this technique is just the walnut stain. I have it on these little daubers here. I don't even have to get my ink pad out because it has enough just to give it enough of a vintage flair here. So let's go ahead and figure this out, where we're going to place these. Now I know, what do I know? I know that I'm going to add a little elf here. So kind of just want to get an idea of where this is going to go. And then I thought, because this is a bigger tag, I'd also add Santa. So maybe something like that. So that kind of gives me an idea where my presents should go. I don't mind them being in the background, but you know, I don't want them to be completely covered. So we'll kind of take that into consideration. And then I'm going to be using my 3-in-1 beacon. Now, another tool or another glue item that I used when I was creating my characters is this Nuvo Smooth Precision Glue Pen. And this was great, especially for the smaller pieces, because as you can see, it's just like a ballpoint pen, and it gives you just the right amount of ink to work with some of these smaller items. So that's something you might want to think about as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and just add my presents, and I can use my 3-in-1 rather than my collage medium on this because I have a pretty good surface here. So I'm going to go ahead and just place my presents down for the background. And then once I have a good background, then I can go ahead and start thinking about my characters. All right, now the sentiment I'm going to use is this Happy Holidays, and I think I'm going to put him down here. So when you're putting together this type of a design, you have to really kind of think about your placement. You don't want to glue things down and then realize you don't have place, you know, for your little Happy Holiday sign. If I put my characters too close, then my holiday sign is going to cover some of him. So you really have to kind of think about that when you're putting together these types of designs. But I believe I'm going to do these off center, something like this. So I should have enough room to put my Happy Holiday sign. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down at this point, because I'm pretty confident that's going to be my layout. So again, just using my 3-in-1 beacon. If you wanted to, you can add some of your walnut stain on the edges here. I should have done that probably before I added my glue, but we'll just add a little bit here, and then we'll place our frame. Okay. And then from here, I can go ahead and start thinking about my characters. Now I know Santa's going to come down a little bit farther, but I want to think about my Happy Holiday tag first. So we'll go ahead and we'll place him down. All right, and as you can see, I'm starting to build my layers. And then once I have that, then I know I can go ahead and work on my Santa. Now, he's going to be off center, so if you needed to, you could put some foam dots or something on the background. I'm probably not going to. I'll just make sure I put enough adhesive. But that might be something to think about if you're concerned about the fact that he is not going to have backing, complete backing. But I think it's wide enough where he'll be okay. And then I just want to make sure I have enough glue to hold him in place. And then the elf is going to go probably a little bit more in. Let's see. So I may need to have some sort of backing for him since he's not going to be exactly even. All right, so I went ahead and I added some foam strips to the edge because he is going to be more towards the center on this one. So let's see, just got to decide where I'm going to put him. And then I'll add my glue. And these strips are great because they're really thin. Show you where I got them in just a second here. These are from Tailored Expressions, and these are the strips that go with the really thin sentiments, but they're really great because they're really thin and they're really sticky. And I like them a lot. So they work perfectly for things like this. All right, so as you can see, this is pretty much coming along. We got our background, we got our little characters in place. Now we just got to worry about up here. Now, if you're going to add more ephemera, you might want to think about that before you actually glue it down. I knew that I didn't want it necessarily on back. Thinking about doing something up here, just kind of like that. But then I knew I wanted to also use some of these little poinsettia flowers that I created. So let's see what we can do here. So I think I'm going to put my little December here. I'll add my flowers here. And then for the top, there's a couple ways you can go, right? You can put a bow, a ribbon. I'm going to actually use one of my milk caps on top. And that's the way I'm going to go with this. So I know this is going to go here. So let's go ahead and get this adhered down. And again, if you think you need foam dots to help it along, you can do that. But I'm going to have enough surface glued here that I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so go ahead and add this and then just kind of adjust it to how I want it to look. And then we'll go ahead and put our flowers in. And what's nice about this glue is once I get my flowers in, if I decide that I need to move my calendar over, I still have moving room for that. So I know I want my entire December to show, so we'll just move that over just a bit. Okay. And that's kind of coming along there. All right. Now for my holly, using the same paper like I said that I used for the tree, and I'm just going to add some holly pieces in the background. Now if you're strategic enough, you can piggyback off of the glue that is underneath the flowers, and then if you need to add a little bit more glue, you can use your precision pin. Don't necessarily want my holly pieces glued down completely, so I'll probably just work off of the glue. And I'm adjusting as I go along because again, I want my December to show. Let's see if I can just stick this in here. And my glue is still wet, so I can work off of it. and then just adjust your holly as you're going along. So I'm just taking little holly leaves and adding them in just to create some background here. And then let's see if we can get this one in there as well. Now don't worry about these flowers being loose because the glue will dry, but I like using that 3-in-1 for this reason exactly. I've got movement room, and I know that the glue will dry and be permanent, but at least I can adjust this as I'm going along. All right, so we're gonna add, you can add either you know, little gems. There's lots of things you can add in here. I'm going to go ahead and just use my Stickles glitter glue. And you want to be careful. You probably shouldn't be adding it right now. You should be the last thing that you add because it's going to be wet. But I'll just make sure I'm careful not to stick my fingers in it. These stickles I've had forever, and I told myself I'm going to start using them or they're going to go in the trash. So, trying to do my best to use some of the items I already have. All right, and then we need to put our little milk cap on top. I think I already have one here. And I wasn't sure if I was going to add anything here, but I don't think I am. I'm just going to leave this as it is and then add my glue. So let's go ahead and do that. Now as you can see, I'm only putting it on half of the milk cap because I'm going to have the other half hanging off the top. And these you can either punch a hole, hang it, leave it as it is. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll go ahead and we'll let it dry. And that pretty much does it. So let's go ahead and just see if we can put this one together really quickly here. I decided not to put the frame on this one. I'm just going to do a little snowman, but I think I'm going to pop him up. So I'll just use some of my foam tape here to pop up this little guy. Okay. So we'll just get this. Sorry for the noises in the background if you can hear that. My husband is working on the gutters, so I apologize for that. But we'll go ahead and we'll get this little character down, and then I know I wanted to add something. I don't know what. I'm thinking I might put this here. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. I think the milk cap might be a little bit too big for the smaller tags, so we'll just go with one of the ephemera pieces. Put that right there. Got a little present here I want to add, so we'll stick that right there. And then let's see if I have another little ephemera piece maybe we can add. I don't know if I do, but let's see. That might be kind of cute. Maybe I'll put that there. See, I'm just keep going. Let's see here. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we should leave it as it is? Sometimes I don't know when to stop. I like my ephemera pieces though. Yeah, I think I will add it. All right, so let's go ahead and get this little thing added. So you'll know when it's finished. I mean, I guess that's the best I can say. Just keep layering. Don't glue until you have it set down and you look at it for a bit. But you'll know when it's done. This little special delivery label isn't overpowering, so I feel like I'm okay with adding it. And then these little pieces here are just nice little additions. So let's get these added here. And as I finish up, I want to remind you that I do have a lot of these items in the shop. So if you do want to try your hand at some of these oversized tags, I'll leave links to everything below in the video for you. I am using a lot of the Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, so if you have those on hand, as well as some of the dies, so you should be able to easily recreate some of these little tags. So like I said, as always, I'll leave lists of everything that I use, including the links to the stores. And if you've enjoyed my video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. This is my first video for the Christmas season for you. I hope to have a few more taped for you. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do a series just because my work schedule is very packed over the next couple of months. I'm going to even have to be doing some traveling out to Michigan for a couple of weeks. So we'll see what I can do for you as far as videos. But certainly if I have time, I'll get some videos out there for you. All right, everybody. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. And happy holidays. We'll see you again next time.